Hi everyone, it's Ian from DIY Home and Gardening. Going to do another winter type video for you. How to lift and store your lily bulbs or corms. I suppose the thing I need to address first is, yes, I am wearing a beanie hat whilst wearing a polo shirt, but there's nothing wrong with that. Just means that I don't want my head to get cold. But it is cold outside. We're first week of December and I'm in the shed, and perfect time now to make sure you're lifting your more sensitive bulbs and corms and things like that. So let's turn the camera around and show you. Okay, as I said, we are first week of December and this is what the tree lilies are looking like at the moment. That is not to say that the other lilies in the garden are looking any different. You will notice that the stems have been cut down. I cut those back in about the November time, after they'd gone brown and dropped their leaves. So this tree lily form here is Anastasia, which has had the nice pink flowers to it, and these two pots here, Miss Peculiar, which was the sort of the yellow and white-ish flower to it. You also notice on this variety it's obviously started to bulk up and produce some little bulblets somewhere around it, so that gives us a bit of a indication that we'll be looking for hopefully some multiple bulb formation within the pot. Like I say, I waited until now to start storing them. Wanted to make sure that all the goodness has returned from the actual stem into the bulb and the bulbs have gone into a decent dormancy period, but that's not to say that I wouldn't have lifted them sooner had the weather been worse than it has been. You know, we've had a very mild autumn into winter so far in the UK, which is strange considering the summer was so poor. But anyway, now at a stage where we're going to start lifting them. So if these were in the ground like some of my other ones, then I would now be digging these up and then carry on the process. As they're in a pot, makes it a little bit easier. So let me set the camera up properly and then I'll show you what we're doing. Right, just put the old gloves on, and I have also put a jumper on because, well, I was underestimating how cold it is. Anyway, starting with Anastasia, got the pot, we'll just carefully tip it out, and I'm just tipping it into this tray so I don't make too much mess. Put that to one side so you can see the decent root formation that we've had from the growing season. Just keep one hand on the top here, that way you know where your bulb should be, and with the other hand on here, just working some of this loose compost off. Not worried about disturbing the roots as we won't be retaining those anyway, and just sort of dragging the compost backwards and away. You can see the more fibrous roots, so you know we're getting closer, and you can also see the sand grit mixture from when I did my original potting. And it's a good idea as you're looking, well, as you're emptying out the pots, to have a look for any signs of pests that might be harbouring in here. Excuse the door. Particularly things like vine weevil, which is a creamy yellow grub with a brown head, and that likes to overwinter in your pots, which is the main reason why I take them out of the pots. But the grub itself will then eat through your bulbs. So here we are, here's where we've got to. So you can now see signs of the bulb. Let me open the door and right, back with you. Just prop the door open, get a bit more light on the subject. Right, so now you can really see what we're talking about. You can see those bulbs there, so this is where we want to be a little bit more careful. Still work through from the base, as we know that will be clear. So hold underneath your bulb and then you can literally tear off these excess roots. And I've got to confess, I'm glad I'm wearing these gloves because this soil is cold. So we're just taking off as much of this at the moment as we can, but you don't want to damage any of these bulbs or bulblets. Just give it a little shake and a tap. Okay, and that's, for the moment, that's what we're left with. You can see this was the main bulb that's grown substantially in size, and we've now got 4 additional bulbs have formed. So what I want to do now is I'll clear all of this away and then show you what I'm going to do with this. So bear with me. Well, actually, I'll come back one stage, I'll do the other one as well, and then I'll get rid of it all in one go and we'll have a conversation then. Okay, so I've done the second Anastasia bulb. So first one, second one, and you'll notice with this one it's easier to see actually. So we've got the main bulb here, and then where you've got this root formation to the top, well, that actually relates to all of these little bulblets that are formed, and you end up with something like that. So one of these has come off. So these I would take off, but not just yet. So what I'm going to do first is just allow them to dry for a little bit, but first want to make sure that there's as little moisture available as possible, as we don't want to get too much. So just use a pair of secateurs or scissors or something like that. We're just going to remove as much of the root as you can do, again avoiding damaging any of the bulb. And then if that means that you can then tease out a bit more soil, then that's fantastic, and that's what I'm going to be doing. And you know, you can always use a little brush just to get in there and get some of this off. So that's the next stage. Just do a little bit of more finessing on your cleaning up of the organic material and removing of any of this unwanted stuff. Right, so I've tidied up the top a little bit more and managed to tease away these small bulblets. So just pop those to one side, and again, any where you've got excess root, just snip that away. So work your way through. They don't need the root at this time of year as they are dormant. Now we've got this piece, so you've got your central stem. Just if it will snap out or twist out, that's great. If it's not dry enough, then we leave it to dry. And so now it's snapped out, you should be able to see the nice clean hollow in the side there, and you can also see we've got one residual bulblet, so we can pop that out, and that is clean enough ish for next stage. So let me show you next stage. We'll just pop that to one side. Right. good old newspaper, and all I'm going to do, nothing scientific in this at all, is loosely wrap so that the bulb is facing downwards. That's the important bit, so we're allowing any excess moisture just to drain away. And I'm just going to, for the time being, pop it into one of those pots, and we'll give it again a couple of weeks to dry before we wrap them properly. And same with these, you have a job to get these totally upended, but again, with a little bit of prep work, you can get them so they're all at least pointing in the same direction, and hold them, give them a little wrap, a bit like you would do, say, like a fajita or burrito, like so, and we can then pop those in, again upside down. We'll do the next one, but very important, add your label as you go, so then we end up with one variety, one pot, and then we'll do the second lot at a later stage. But essentially that's where we're at the moment, and I'll see you in a couple of weeks once they've dried. Right, so these lilies have been just stored in the sheds, just wrapped in the paper for the last couple of weeks, and whilst they don't look too different, they are drier, and you can tell that by the fact that now the soil brushes off quite readily. The last thing to do is just to remove any of these roots that still persist on the bulbs. So you can either use secateurs, fingernails, or a sharp knife, and then once you've cleaned them all up, then they'll be ready to store permanently over winter. Right, so you can see that's all the dirt and roots that have been taken off. I've taken off the odd scale that's been badly damaged, and we are left with these nice clean bulbs. So you can see they're pretty much root free, all brushed down. So I just tend to use a sharp knife to remove the worst of the roots, and nothing but a dust like a brush to rub it down with. And there you can actually see quite easily that when it starts growing again next year, you'll have a stem grow from here, and there'll be a secondary one from there. Might also be one come from that side, but I very much doubt it. And then likewise here, it's already splitting itself into two, so we could always split that in half when you come to do planting, but quite frankly I'll probably plant as is. And then you've got all of these, so these bulbs are too small to carry flower for next year, but they will again grow quite substantially if you plant them out. So for the time being, again, just get a trusty bit of newspaper and pop them in, and like with how we were treating them before, wrap them in the newspaper and then still aim to put them in a box so they're upside down, so in that way any moisture that's left in the crown will still continue to come out. And you can do one section, as long as you remember which way is which. Do one section, stick a label in with it, and that's it, done. And then you can then do the same for the other bits. So yeah, that's basically it. That's how to do the preparation for overwintering the lily bulbs. So all there is to say is thanks for watching the video. I hope you found it useful. As always, if you've got any questions, unsure about anything, then just send me a message and I'll get back to you with hopefully a decent answer. In the meantime, if you like what I'm doing, please subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to hit that reminder button so you don't miss out on any future videos that I'm doing. And yeah, always say, in the meantime, just enjoy your gardening, whether that's indoors or outdoors. You know, even if it's just doing a bit of prep work ready for next year. But till next time, mind how you go and see you soon.